Okay, so this is about periodic functions, and really in the next section we'll look at that. A function y equals f of t is periodic if there exists a positive real number c such that f of t plus c equals f of t for all real values t in the domain of f. The smallest number c for which f is a periodic is called the period of f. And in our next section, which is for graphing sine and cosine functions, we'll be kind of looking at that a little bit more as we go. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want you to note that sine and cosine are periodic, repeating after 2 pi. So these two have a period of 2 pi. And tangent has a period of just pi. So you want to know that difference there, and really most of the other things we'll talk about later. Oh, but I do see down here the even and odd thing. So a function is even if when we put in a negative x, we get whatever the same, or the opposite x value, we get the same y value as if we put in the original sign of that. And so the cosine function is even, and the sine and tangent functions are odd. And then you might just write this little piece of information there, that the cosine of negative t equals the cosine of t, and maybe I'll even write the word even below that. That makes that even. The sine of negative t is negative sine of t. That makes that odd. And the tangent of negative t equals the negative tangent of t, and that makes that odd. When we graph those in the next section, it'll become a lot more obvious which ones are even and odd and how that works. Now we're going to do these last couple. We're really going to do them just like we've been doing all the other problems. So we want to find the exact value of the cosine of 9 pi over 4. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw that angle in here. So this is kind of a review of all the sections we've done. And since these are 4 is the denominator, I'll kind of retrace that in red. 4 is the denominator. I'm going to think of this as 0, 2 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, and then back to 8 pi over 4. Oops. Okay, my 8 doesn't look like anything but a blob. And then really, since this is past 8 pi over 4, I'll kind of keep going. So if this was 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, then back up here would be 10 pi over 4 as I kind of think about that. And so that means my initial side of 9 pi over 4 is always at the positive x-axis. My terminal side, it's between 8 and pi over 4 and 10 pi over 4. So it's going to be out here someplace. And so it's in that first quadrant. And to find my reference angle, I'm going to take 9 pi over 4, because it's past 1 revolution, minus, and the way I'm going to write it is minus 2 pi, and then 9 pi over 4 minus 8 pi over 4, so that we just recognize we're subtracting off a spin, so to speak. And then our reference angle is pi over 4. So reference angle is pi over 4. What quadrant is it in? The A quadrant. So all students take calculus. That means all of my trig functions are positive there. So if I want the cosine of 9 pi over 4, I'm going to say that's equal to the positive cosine of pi over 4. You all have beautifully generated charts in front of you. So what is the cosine of pi over 4? Square root of 2 over 2, and it's positive in this case. So there's our answer as we go. Okay, so we're just going to do this a couple more times and just kind of make sure it's in our heads. 8b is the sine of negative 300. And so for the sine of negative 300, we're going which direction, clockwise or counterclockwise? Yeah, clockwise. It always seems like those words are backwards in this whole deal, but it is clockwise in this one. And so when I'm going this way, that would be 0, negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, and then negative 360. Back around, right? So, you know, I do count those out now, but you'll get better at that too, and just kind of recognizing. So this one, even though it goes around like that, it's going to end up in this same quadrant right there. So if it's negative 300, just how much is left to make it full circle? 60. So what's the reference angle? Reference angle is 60. Oops. Equals 60. And it's in that A, all students take calculus, so all things are positive. And this is because of this periodic nature. So the sine of negative 300 is equal to the positive sine of 60 degrees. I'm just noticing this book author did not use a degree symbol because I was critical of myself just now, thinking I had not done that. So we'll put a little degree mark in there. And so what is, from your table, the sine of 60? Square root of 3 over 2. So that is that one. Are you feeling a little more comfortable with this as we kind of go through that? So here's another one, tangent. This is 8c, tangent of 29 pi over 6. Do you agree that that's more than 2 pi? Yeah, for sure, right? So because I'm not going to count out like by 6 all the way to 29. So I'm going to start this one a little bit different. And I'm going to say, okay, if I'm going to just take 29 pi over 6 and start subtracting 2 pi until I feel like it's between 0 and 2 pi, which would be 12 pi, right? 0 and 12, or 12 pi over 6. So 29 pi over 6 minus 12 pi over 6, because that's 2 pi. What's 29 minus 12? 17 pi over 6, yes. We don't have to whisper, but yes, 17 pi over 6. So do you think, can I subtract off another 2 pi? Because that's 12 pi over 6. So I'll do that, 17 pi over 6 minus, and this time I will just write it as 12 pi over 6. What's 17 pi over 6 minus 12 pi over 6? 5 pi over 6. So now I'm going to draw my picture. And how many times did I spin in this one? How many full revolutions did I spin? It must have been 2 because I was able to subtract that off twice. So now when I draw it, and now I'll think about where 5 pi over 6 is. So this is 0, 3 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, 9 pi over 6, and 12 pi over 6. So I didn't have to count all the way to 29 that way. But then where is my 5 pi over 6 going to end up? In which quadrant? In the S quadrant. So my initial side is the positive x-axis. And then I spin how many times? 1, 2, and then I have to end up in that S quadrant. And all students take calculus. Now, I need my reference angle, which is right there. And so what is my reference angle? If this is 6 pi over 6 and this was 5 pi over 6, what's that reference angle? Reference angle is pi over 6. And we're finding the tangent. We're in this quadrant. Is tangent positive or negative? All students take calculus. Students. Students means what? What's positive in that quadrant? S. What is S? Sine, right? So sine is positive there. We're finding tangent. So is tangent positive or negative? It'll be negative. So this S means sine is positive. So tangent is negative. Tangent is negative. So the tangent of 29 pi over 6 is the negative tangent of, what's our little angle? Pi over 6. So off the table, what's the tangent of pi over 6? So negative, no, the square root of 3 over 3, yep. Negative square root of 3 over 3. So be careful, because that's the only one with a 3 denominator, right, on the whole table. So yeah, just be super careful of that. And so that is that problem. And then we're going to be done with that. And then we're going to do an in-class assignment, and the rest of the people are going to, just finish these notes.